With fans upset that Bryan Danielson did not take shots at WWE and Big E saying the quality of Monday Night Raw falls on him, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for September 26th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. With AEW set to honor Owen Hart by hosting an annual tournament in his name, Tony Khan spoke on Busted Open Radio about the big things he has up his sleeve for this. This is going to be a tremendous event. It's a great partnership with Martha Hart and the Owen Hart Foundation. Martha is a very principled woman, to say the least. She is a very intelligent woman. She thought long and hard about this, and we talked for a long time about this. I talked to Martha about this for over a year on a regular basis. She put a lot of thought into it, and we put a lot of thought into it. That's how this came together. She's a really good person, and I think she wanted to make sure we're good people too. I really like Martha a lot. You can't say enough great things about the legacy of Owen Hart, how much it means to so many of us, and what a great opportunity this is to celebrate his life. We've had this in the works for a long time. The Owen, I think, can be a very special prize in wrestling. I think people are going to want to win the Owen. I believe we will really establish that as a very special thing in AEW and a very special annual tradition. I'm excited to tell people more about that. I've got a few match announcements and a few big booking plans up my sleeve that I'm excited for people to find out about. That's all coming, I think, in due time. And the Owen Hart announcement is really big for us. When we get through this huge night tonight on Friday Night Rampage, I think next week, we will have a lot of cool stuff when the dust settles. If it's able to be held after his contract expires on the 31st of January, many fans think Kevin Owens would make a great inaugural winner for the tournament. After 7 years out of action, Christian made his return to the ring at the Royal Rumble. Then he wound up in AEW, where he's become the Impact World Champion. On his podcast, Jim Ross mentioned why Edge had an advantage over Christian in terms of breaking out. I always thought Edge was going to be a breakout star because he connected with the audience. Christian was always the clear number 2 on that team. I was glad they both got their opportunity to grow on their own, but I always thought that Edge had a little bit of a leg up in that scenario. That does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that Christian wasn't a great hand. The match that he had with Kenny Omega in AEW was outstanding. He is still a hell of a worker. He's always been a hell of a worker, but he just didn't quite have that connectable charisma that Edge had. It's not a knock on Christian whatsoever, just Edge had a specialness about him, and I'm happy he's back in the game at a schedule he can manage and take care of his health. Hopefully Christian will be able to prove his worth by continuing to do some of the best work of his career. Following the AEW debut of Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson made his way out. Talking to Brandon Walker on Wrestling, Danielson recalled how Tony Khan explained this to him. I think it was pretty cool. Khan mentioned it to me and I thought, like, are you sure you don't want to space it out? He explained his reasons for doing it and I thought, I've never seen anything done like that before. I wasn't able to watch all of it that night because I was hidden in the trailer. The feed wasn't very good. People were coming in and saying hi. I watched it back either Monday or Tuesday and I texted Tony and said, that is the most incredible pay-per-view I've ever seen. I've been watching wrestling for a long time and the reason why is it was an incredible event in itself. If you just saw it as it was, whoa, what an incredible event. But it also made you look forward to the future so much. I texted Tony and said that was just such a well put together pay-per-view. I've never seen anything like it. With him recently going to a time limit draw with Kenny Omega, it seems an AEW world title match is in the future of Bryan Danielson. Speaking to Renee Paquette, Adam Cole revealed that when it came to his SmackDown match with Bryan Danielson, WWE was scrambling, given their talent had been stuck in Saudi Arabia, and only gave him 30 minutes to get ready for it. I got in there and Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar were in the ring cutting a promo. The whole day was nuts. I remember it was 1:30 in the afternoon and I'm walking around just having a normal afternoon, just very relaxed. And I got a call and they go, you need to get on this airplane by 3 o'clock and you need to go to this airport. And the airport was an hour away. I had 30 minutes to pack everything, get get ready to go. I got there, we wait forever. The plane took forever to take off. We're up in the air, and we still don't know what we're doing. I don't know if I'm wrestling Bryan, I don't know what's going on. None of us know anything. Some of us kind of find out that we're wrestling, but we're not sure what we're doing. So I'm sitting beside Shawn Michaels, who's trying to figure out what I'm doing while I'm putting my boots on 30,000 feet up in the air. We got a police escort to the venue. We're speeding through everything and there's cop cars with lights on. It was so nuts. Such a nuts day. With her set to face Carmella at Extreme Rules tonight, Liv Morgan spoke to Sportskeeda about losing momentum over the last couple of months. I feel like the past 2 years of my career have had moments where I feel like I had so much momentum and I was ready for a breakthrough, and then I don't. I do feel like this time is different. I like to think positive, and I'm very much a glass half full. So when I look back, I think maybe I wasn't as ready as I thought, and that's why I didn't break through. Even though I wanted it, maybe I just wasn't ready as a performer. Now I feel so much more well-rounded that I'm ready. I'm ready for that top spot. I'm ready to be that girl. I definitely feel after Money in the Bank that I'm going to keep the momentum going until I'm SmackDown Women's Champion. As she promised to make the pay-per-view the worst night of Carmella's life, a win tonight could put Morgan in a position to become #1 contender. On After the Bell, John Morrison was asked who he'd like to face in WWE, with him naming Walter. The two met backstage at last year's Royal Rumble, as Morrison recalled. "Walter, I'd like to wrestle Walter because he's my dog's favorite wrestler." Presley was tweeting Walter for like 6 months every time he came out. Presley would watch his theme music, and the first time I met Walter was at the Rumble before the lockdown started. I was a little too excited maybe. He walked in and I was talking to Edge and Christian and a bunch of the guys, and I screamed like across the room like, "Hey Walter, hey, you're my dog's favorite wrestler." I ran over and I think I spooked him because he turned around and left. I haven't talked to him since. I don't know what happened, if I spooked him or he thinks I'm crazy, but hopefully he knows I was just excited for my dog. Talking on the Sports Illustrated Media podcast, Bryan Danielson recalled his promo in AEW where fans were not happy that he did not take shots at WWE. "After I got a little promo and I said I love where I worked before, that got a huge chorus of boos, but it's true. I think that also speaks to it's not just a wrestling culture thing. I think there's also a tribalism in our country right now, the narrative of being on one side or the other, and I think most people are actually very rational and will enjoy both sides, but I think the harder edges and those are the people who tend to speak out more. If you like both, you're not going to go on social media and say anything controversial that's going to get a lot of responses. If you say, oh, AEW was great last night, but I really enjoyed this about WWE as well, nobody's going to say anything. You just do one or the other. I think that's one of the negatives of social media, is it tends to emphasize the harshness in either direction. Talking to Renee Paquette, Adam Cole mentioned opening the forbidden door to get back to New Japan. New Japan is something I'd like to do more of. I had done a fair amount of tours. It was almost 10. I got to wrestle at Korakuen Hall and the Tokyo Dome and Sumo Hall and all these really cool venues. I enjoyed my time there, and right as I was kind of finding my footing there and gaining momentum, that was when I left. The chance to go back there would be really cool. I think back so fondly of my time in Ring of Honor. PWG, I had some of the times of my life there. I got my start in CZW, which is where I met John. There's a bunch of really cool things that I would like to do. Independent wrestling is a blast. Becky Lynch spoke to Muscle and Fitness about keeping in shape, where she noted that she had been self-conscious but now feels more appreciative of her body. "I just feel like I appreciate my body more. I go, well, you know what? I've created a life. This is great. This is great. I don't really care how it looks anymore. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I've always had body issues, and I was always self-conscious about showing my stomach off, and now I'm just really proud of the function of it, of everything it can do. So I don't know if it's a mental thing that just turns into a physical thing, if that makes any sense." For Extreme Rules tonight, Lynch is set to defend her SmackDown Women's title in a rematch against the former champion, Bianca Belair. When it comes to the backstage situation in WWE, President Nick Khan has been more visible, with Ringside News reporting WWE President Nick Khan was backstage at SmackDown this week, but that's not really a big deal anymore. We were told Nick Khan was backstage in Philly, but he's been at a lot of TVs lately. It's really nothing out of the ordinary at this point to see Khan backstage in WWE. Khan has previously stated that he is willing to take the blame for the mass releases seen in WWE, as he will probably continue to travel with Vince McMahon for shows. With him defeating Bobby Lashley to become WWE Champion, Big E told Cincy 360 that the quality of Monday Night Raw now falls on him. In my mind, Raw is my show. That WWE Championship means that Raw is my show. I'm the king of the hill there. Right now, I've been kind of going back and forth with SmackDown a little bit, but I anticipate that will be over soon. I want to focus on making Raw this best show it can be, and I take pride in that. A lot of times the viewership, the quality of the show is on the WWE Champion. That's a big marker for having a really good reign. The match between Seth Rollins and The Fiend at 2019's Hell in a Cell left many fans furious, as the bout was called off due to a disqualification, a first in Hell in a Cell history. Speaking on Broken Skull Sessions, Rollins recalled that night, saying he was ready to go after Vince McMahon. Look, I put a positive spin on it now, that I can look back on it a year and a half later, but at the time I came through that curtain and I was ready to strangle Vince McMahon. I'm not kidding you. Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson was there to hold me back. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.